Welcome to this new topic. Uh, from now onwards, for the three or four videos, we are going to discuss consumer choice models. Now, if you take the economics literature, consumer choices or choice models have a different probabilistic interpretation. Our approach is going to be different. We are not talking about that economic idea of choice models, but we are more talking about marketing idea of consumer choice models. So what we wish to understand is the choices made by the consumer and how are they making it. So some kind of psychological analysis, but obviously this is a course on business analytics, and therefore we are going to take a very quantitative approach to this journey into consumers' mind when they make a choice about a particular product. So this journey, particularly, we are going to take this journey in the sense of conjoint analysis. So I will define conjoint analysis in a minute, but there are various choice models. There are various consumer choice models. We are going to take an approach of explaining conjoint analysis. So as always, before we get into the quantitative techniques, before we understand what kind of data, let us understand what this technique is. These are set of techniques actually. So let us understand what conjoint analysis actually means. So let us take this example. So let us walk through a thinking process of a consumer. So let us say that this particular consumer is trying to decide amongst four products, and she may have to buy finally one product, or it may be four variants of a product. So she is comparing these four products and she is deciding which one to buy. Now let us say that these products, we have two attributes available to this product, or at least we have data for the two attributes for these products or these variants. If once we ask the consumer their preferences, let us say that we also have their consumer choice data. Let us have let us make sure that we have this data available to us. Now what we wish to understand, if I am a market researcher, if I am a marketeer, what I wish to understand, what I wish to know are essentially what is the thinking process. When I say that the product is split into two attributes, how much importance is provided for each of the attributes by a particular consumer, right? So how important these attributes are for a particular consumer. Secondly, once I understand that this attribute is important, this attribute is not important, this level of attribute is important. What do I mean by level of an attribute? I'll explain that in a minute. Once I understand how these attributes are important or not so important, the next question that I wish to answer if I'm a market researcher or if I'm selling the product to the consumer is, can I build my own product? If I know the choices data, I know consumer prefers this, I know that the consumer doesn't prefer this, I know the consumer has more importance for this attribute, consumer doesn't have the importance for this attribute, right? Can I actually build an ideal product from the perspective of a consumer, an ideal product that a consumer would like to buy, right? Why is this kind of analysis important? Let us say that consumer is interested in let us pick a product. Consumer is interested in buying a car, right? Now what do I mean by attributes? By attributes, we mean various features of the car. What is the engine capacity? What is the seating capacity? Is it a SUV or is it a urban car? Is it a coupe? Is it a sedan? Right? What color is the car? What is the luggage capacity? What brand is it? Right? These are all the features. These are all the features. These are all the attributes. So when we say we have data for two attributes in this example, for typical consumer, when she buys a car, she has many more attributes to consider. Now the first question essentially asks which attribute is important. For some consumers, buying the most powerful car in the market is their priority number one. So they probably give engine capacity the highest weightage. Some people say, no, I have a larger family size and therefore seating capacity is important for me. Some people say that the safety features are most important to me. So essentially these are the attributes which are important, and some of the attributes may not even be important. For example, I really don't care whether the color is light green or dark green, right? I don't care. So some people are quote unquote colorblind that way. So some features are going to be important, some attributes are going to be important, some attributes are not going to be important. What is the second question? Second question then is, if I am a car seller, if I am Hyundai, or if I am a Ford, or if I am a Volkswagen, can I build the ideal car that the consumer would love? Can I build a car where the engine capacity is the most preferred engine capacity for the consumer? It can fit into the car can fit in the optimal number of people that the consumers want to fit in, right? So that's the idea. Idea is, can I find the attribute values of the ideal product? Attribute values for the ideal product. Now, why is this kind of analysis difficult? This kind of analysis is difficult because consumer really cannot separate, or it becomes difficult for consumer to articulate the differences for each individual attribute at a time, right? For example, if you ask the consumer, do you want 100 cc engine capacity? Do you want a 1200 cc engine capacity? They will say, yeah, but 1200 is good, 1000 is good, but you can't look at each of the attributes in isolation, right? It's a full product that I'm buying. I'm not buying only the engine of the car, right? So even if I say I want the most powerful engine, that doesn't mean that they will simply go for the highest capacity engine that is available in the market, right? So it becomes difficult for us to even collect this kind of data. So I will say, okay, tell me the engine size, tell me the color of the car, tell me the brand of the car, tell me whether you want ABS. So depending on how many attributes do we have, how many questions are you going to ask the consumer, and then construct the value system for the consumer, which means how much importance are they giving to each product, each attribute, and then finally answer that ideal product question, right? It becomes difficult. Therefore, this analysis, this kind of consumer choice analysis, is a non-trivial task for any market researcher. So let us go further on this. So let us go back to our example. So the consumer was comparing 4 variants of a product, and each variant we were collecting data on 2 attributes. So you can construct any product of this type. Let us say that this is the data. Let us say that there are 4 products being compared. And these are the values available on attribute 1. These are the values available on attribute 2. So product 1 has attribute value of 1.5 and attribute 2 of 12. Product 3 has attribute 1 value of 2.3 and attribute 2 value of 4. So this could be any attribute. Attribute could be as I said, the rating on safety rating, right? So safety rating. Now, safety rating generally is not in decimals, but you can have your own data. Instead of 1.5, you can say that is 3. Instead of 2.3, you can say that is 3, right? So this is attribute number 1. Attribute number 2 could be another rating, right? So we can say average consumer rating. Probably I want to give importance to that. When I'm buying a car, I want to understand how others have rated the car. So if others have rated the car highly, I will also think of this car as a good car, right? So average consumer rating could be attribute 2, and we are just hypothetically mentioning, right? The product need not even be cars. Now, so this is the attribute data. This is the attribute data, right? These are the 2 attributes and the data on that. Now, how are we collecting consumer choices? Now, conjoint analysis allows us to collect consumer choices in various formats. Now, we can simply say that there are 4 products and I will ask the consumers to rate the 4 products. For example, I will ask the consumer to rank the 4 products, and that is the consumer choice data that I will collect. So, I will ask the consumer, and the consumer's rank is this is rank number 1, this is rank number 2, this is rank number 3, and this is rank number 4. So this particular consumer whom I asked the question says that the product variant 4 is the best product for me. Then product number 2 would come in second place, product variant number 3 would come in third place, and product variant number 1 would come in the fourth place, which is the last place, which means that this particular consumer that I asked prefers product variant 1 the least, right? So we can collect consumer data as simply preferences. Tell me the overall preferences or overall ranking for the product, or I may collect consumer preferences in a pairwise format. So for example, I will offer the pair saying between 1 and 2, between product variant 1 and 2, which one do you prefer? Between product variant 1 and 3, what do you prefer? Between product variant 1 and 4, what do you prefer? So I may collect consumer choice data even on the pairwise basis. So I will offer consumers choice pairs. So I will ask the consumer between product variant 1 and product variant 2, what do you prefer? And then consumer will tell me that consumer prefers 1 over 2. When I ask the consumer what is your preference between 1 and 4, so consumer says I prefer 4 over 1. Right, between the pair 2 and 4, the consumer prefers 2 over 4. Right, so that I can collect pairwise preference data, or I can collect overall preference data. Right, so both are admissible. So what kind of data do we have for consumer preferences? That may dictate what kind of analysis that we will have to do to answer the two questions that we had put up in the previous slide. Right. So I hope the situation is clear to you now. So as I said, the product could be anything. It could be, as I said, buying a car, or it could be thinking of buying potato chips, right? So let us say that the product or the commodity that the consumer is trying to buy is potato chips, a packet of potato chips. And the two attributes that the consumer is looking at are, obviously you want the potato chips to be crispy and not soggy. And potato chips, everybody likes them, everybody loves potato chips, and therefore you would want quantity, as large a quantity in a pack as possible. Right, so obviously that means that consumer would prefer a pack of 150 grams over 100 grams, right? So quantity. So and then consumer is obviously comparing 4 variants of products, 4 different brands probably, or 4 different varieties of the same company, right? Lay's has so many chips and so many types of chips, and consumer is preferring consumer is giving choices on 4 variants of Lay's chips, right? So it could be different organizations being compared, it could be different brands being compared, it could be different products from a same organization being compared, right? So it could be any product variety. And then she prefers, then the consumer has given her choices. As we saw, the choices could be in terms of pairwise data. In a pair, I will tell you whether I prefer A versus B, or it could simply be preference scores, right? I will simply rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, where one could mean the most preferred product, or it could be ranking, or it could be scale ranking, where I say 10 is the best product and 1 is the least preferred product, right? Any way we define preference scores, right? So that's the choices data that she is going to give us. What the market researcher would like to know is the importance or the weights, right? What are the optimal weights that the consumer is attaching to the crispiness of the chips and to the quantity that is available in the pack. That's what we wish to know. What are the weights assigned by the consumer? Now the consumer is going to say that, well, I want crispier products, but I also want large quantity. But when she is giving us the choices, can we guess whether she is giving more importance to crispiness and more importance to quantity, right? Essentially answering the second question on the previous slide, then the market researcher would like to build the ideal chips packet, right? The ideal chips packet that would be preferred by this consumer, right? She has given you choices, and based on these choices, can you build a model and construct this ideal chips packet, so to say, right? That's what we wish to do. And how do we wish to do this? We wish to do this using a process called conjoint analysis. So what is conjoint analysis? Very literally speaking, conjoint analysis means analysis of features considered jointly, right? That's why the term conjoint, right? We are not going to look at each attribute in isolation, as I said earlier. That's difficult. Sometimes asking the set of questions to the consumer itself becomes tiresome. Consumer is going to give up, and therefore psychologically not being interested in answering your questions. Cognitive dissonance or what or the terms like that will kick in. So we are going to look at all the attributes together and analyze them together. That's why it is called conjoint analysis. This technique is actually not new. It has been around for quite some time. In fact, the conjoint analysis, the origins come from a research article that was written way back in 1964, and the article was actually published in a journal called Journal of Mathematical Psychology, which is very apt, which is why I decided to put it on the slide, that this is what we wish to do. We wish to understand the consumer's thinking process. We want to understand consumer psychology by building mathematical models, right? And in this discussion, we are actually going to discuss two mathematical models. One is a more statistical model and one is an optimization model. So, this process, this conjoint analysis is a set of techniques, has its origin way back, more than 50 years ago, almost 60 years ago now. And very aptly, it comes from the field of mathematical psychology, right? Professor Paul Green at Wharton University is credited with developing conjoint analysis. He has extensively written on various aspects of conjoint analysis, various models, various applications, lots of research that can be attributed to Professor Green, and we are going to discuss few more models as we go along, right? This is a well established set of techniques which has been around for some time. So essentially, what is conjoint analysis? Conjoint analysis can be defined as a set of features, family of techniques. What are we trying to do? We are trying to model choices provided by the consumer. How are we going to do that? We are going to decompose the overall preferences or evaluation. Consumer has provided the overall preferences or evaluation for the particular product, right? And how are we going to decompose? We are going to decompose in terms of relative values of the components or attribute. We are going to assign weights, right? We are going to assign relative weights to the attributes. And then we are hopefully through that process, we are going to try and understand what the consumer is thinking. So in some ways, we are getting into the consumer's mind and trying to understand their value system. So do they value this product more? Do they value this other product more? Do they value this attribute more? Do they value this other attribute more? So we are essentially trying to construct a value system for a consumer by asking them about their preferences, right, on a small subset of products, and essentially hopefully try to make predictions from that model that builds us the value system. When we look at the optimization model for conjoint analysis, in the sense of optimization, we are then trying to construct this best product, right? We'll try to construct this best product, a product which has attributes at the most desirable level to the consumer, right? That's what we will build, and that's what conjoint analysis tries to build.